Okay, well, we will have to see how the situation will be as the Singaporean economy really has been very much the big economy here in Southeast Asian region, and we will have to see if there will be any impact on that in the Singapore's economy. So let's talk about it with Kenneth Paul Tan, the Vice Dean of Lee Kuan Yew School of Public here. Sawasdee ka.
Hello there.
Hello, Lee.
This is Kenneth Tan speaking.
Mr. Tan, yes. Tell us about Lee Kuan Yew and what he means for Singapore.
Well, I think many Singaporeans would agree that Mr. Lee has left a very strong legacy for the country. He and his team of leaders right from the start put in place very strong foundations for us that range not only from economic ones, but also to social foundations, and I would say also urban foundations. So the city that we now live in today, which is clean and green and in many ways attentive to sustainability and livability issues, has a lot to do with Mr. Lee's vision of what Singapore should become. So he was a man that, along with his team, were people who could anticipate Singapore as a highly livable global city, but at the same time, they were people who were very attentive to the vulnerabilities and threats that Singapore faced over the years. I think they felt that there's no guarantee that Singapore would succeed, there's no guarantee that Singapore would even survive. And I think knowing that the survival of the country was something they could not take for granted, they worked very, very hard and single-mindedly in order to achieve these results that Singaporeans today experience and are in some ways very grateful for.
What do you think will happen with the Singaporean economy from now on with the latest news of this death?
Well, I think the economy will continue to proceed in directions that have been set over these last few years, that we will continue to try and have a strong manufacturing sector. We would think very carefully about how to have a more productive workforce, to improve our productivity through the use of better technology and better ways of doing it, of productivity. We would also focus a lot on higher value-added parts of the economy. Certainly the financial industry, Singapore continues to be very strong in, but we are also looking at some of the creative aspects of the economy as well. So in the areas of information technology, the arts, culture, media, design, these are also areas that we try to improve ourselves in and to hopefully succeed in the years to come. So I think there's a lot of energy now within Singapore, the population of Singapore, and the experiences that we've had over time. It's a very cosmopolitan society that we have, and I think we are quite determined to make sure that our economy is vibrant, more varied, and also an enjoyable economy that can help make lives better here in Singapore.
Oh, so you're not worried about the global slowdown, especially at this time?
Well, I mean, all these external factors, they are always going to be there. Singapore, as a small economy that's very externally reliant, has always had to weather all these storms that come in cyclical forms over these decades. I think in many of these cases, we have not been immune to them, but we've ensured that we have strong foundations so that we can come through these difficult times even stronger. And I think that sort of approach, I cannot imagine that would change. So I think we're always going to be subjected to developments in the larger global economy, and we're more deeply embedded in this larger global economy, so that's going to be given for all time. But it also is a strong reminder to Singaporeans that we cannot take economic survival and success for granted. And that
what about the fact that Lee Kuan Yew had been criticized during his leadership for being quite having an iron fist in how things ran in Singapore? Will things be changing?
Well, I think some of that legacy of the earlier years of Singapore's development, a very harsh legacy, no doubt, which meant that the government had to impose very, very tough measures in order to accelerate Singapore's growth. I think some of that legacy will not survive into the present situation in Singapore, but what will survive, I think, is not authoritarian government, but strong public institutions. I think that is a legacy that comes out of that authoritarian past, and it will serve Singapore well into the future as we realize that we have progressed not only economically or materially, but also politically and socially. So we now have, a much greater, much more diverse and plural society, and there are certainly Singaporeans who have different points of view and have a different idea about where Singapore should go into the future. But because we have strong institutions from that authoritarian past, it is a system that can cope with more diversity, and hopefully it would be a system that can thrive because we now have a bigger pool of ideas to draw from.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kenneth, for being with us here on our program.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
And that was Kenneth Paul Tan, the Vice Dean of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public, live from Singapore there.